He's going to bite. Pull back, Diaz." The shout from Sergeant Miller tore through the crisp morning air of the K9 training yard, barely audible over the demonic snarling of the beast at the end of the lead. Titan, an 85-pound Belgian Malinois, was a blur of fur and muscle, snapping his jaws inches from Corporal Diaz's face. Diaz, a young, capable handler who had graduated top of his class, was currently sliding backward in the dirt, his face pale, sweat stinging his eyes. He yanked on the leash, trying to correct the dog, but it was like trying to hold back a hurricane with a piece of string. Titan wasn't just disobedient, he was homicidal. If you've ever seen an animal that looked like it wanted to eat the world, type K9 in the comments. Because today, a dog that everyone gave up on is about to meet the only man who speaks his language. The training session was a disaster. Titan was the newest addition to the base's security detail, a high-drive import with a reputation for aggression that bordered on instability. He had already sent one handler to the infirmary with a punctured forearm. Diaz was his last chance. If Titan couldn't be controlled today, the order was already drafted on the commander's desk. Euthanasia. Unfit for service. A liability. "He's not listening, Sarge," Diaz yelled, his voice cracking with panic as Titan lunged again, the heavy leather collar straining against his neck. "He doesn't respect the command. He's checking out." "Box him! Put him in the kennel!" Miller screamed, hand hovering near his sidearm, just in case. "Terminate the exercise. Get him secure before he rips your throat out." Diaz struggled to maneuver the frenzied animal toward the chain-link enclosure. It took two other handlers coming in with bite sleeves and catch poles to finally wrestle Titan into Kennel 1. The moment the gate slammed shut, Titan threw himself against the wire, barking with a rhythmic, deep-chested boom that shook the fence. He was foaming at the mouth, his eyes wide and wild, fixated on Diaz. "That's it," Miller said, wiping his brow and spitting into the dirt. "I'm calling it. He's a washout. He's too dangerous, Diaz. He's got a screw loose. We can't deploy a weapon we can't aim." Diaz slumped against the hood of the Humvee, defeated. "I tried, Sarge. I did everything by the book. Positive reinforcement, e-collar, prong. Nothing works. It's like he hates me. It's like he hates everyone." "Some dogs are just broken," Miller said, shaking his head. "I'll file the paperwork. We put him down tomorrow morning." Standing about 50 yards away, watching from the public sidewalk that ran parallel to the base's outer perimeter, was an old man. He wore a tan windbreaker that had seen better decades and a fading ball cap with a silhouette of a German shepherd embroidered on it. He leaned heavily on a wooden cane. His name was Bill. He was 79 years old, his joints ravaged by arthritis, his back bent by gravity and time. He was just out for his morning walk, a slow, painful ritual he performed to keep his legs working. But the sound of the barking had stopped him. Bill knew that bark. He didn't hear noise. He heard information. He heard frustration. He heard confusion. But mostly, he heard a question that no one was answering. He shuffled closer to the perimeter fence. The guards at the gate saw him. Just a local grandpa. Harmless. They ignored him. Bill watched Titan throwing himself against the kennel wire. He watched the young soldiers arguing, the defeat in their posture. He saw the way Diaz wouldn't look at the dog, the way the sergeant was already mentally filling out the death warrant. Bill took a deep breath. The air smelled of pine and dog musk. It was a smell that triggered memories sharper than the pain in his knees. Memories of Vietnam, of the jungle, of the long nights on patrol with a warm, fur-covered guardian breathing beside him. "Excuse me," Bill called out. His voice was raspy, weak compared to the shouting of the soldiers. Sergeant Miller turned, annoyed. "Sir, this is a restricted military area. Please keep moving." Bill didn't move. He pointed a shaking finger at the kennel. "That dog," Bill said, his voice gaining a little strength. "He isn't broken." Miller sighed and walked over to the fence towering over the old man. "Look, Pop," I appreciate the concern, but that is a highly classified military working dog, and he is currently a level 5 threat. He's about to be put down, so unless you're the dog whisperer, walk away." Bill looked Miller in the eye. Bill's eyes were gray, clouded with cataracts, but behind the haze, there was steel. "I'm not a whisperer," Bill said. "I'm a listener, and that dog is screaming for help." "He's aggressive," Diaz chimed in, walking over, still catching his breath. "He tried to take my face off, sir. He's a killer." "He's a Malinois," Bill corrected gently. "And he's not trying to kill you, son. He's trying to find the leader, and he hasn't found one yet." Bill paused, looking at the kennel where Titan was still raging. "Let me talk to him." "Absolutely not," Miller scoffed. "Civilian on the range? Liability. Go home, sir." "I was a handler before your father was born, Sergeant," Bill said. He didn't shout. He just stated it like a fact of nature, like the sky's blue. 31st Scout Dog Platoon, 1968. I've forgotten more about working dogs than you'll ever know. If you're going to kill him anyway, what's the harm in letting an old man say goodbye?" Miller hesitated. There was something about the old man's tone. It wasn't the pleading of a crazy person. It was the authority of a veteran. And truthfully, Miller didn't want to kill the dog. No handler ever does. "5 minutes," Miller grunted. "But you stay behind the outer fence. If he lunges and you have a heart attack, that's on you." Bill nodded. "Open the gate." "The outer gate?" Miller asked, incredulous. "You want to go in the yard?" "I can't talk to him from the cheap seats," Bill said. "Let me in." Against every regulation in the book, Miller signaled the guard. The gate buzzed. Bill shuffled in. He moved slowly, the cane thumping rhythmically on the asphalt. Thump, step, step, thump. As Bill approached the kennel, the soldiers tensed. Titan saw the movement. The dog went rigid, his ears pinned back. The barking stopped, replaced by a low, guttural growl that sounded like a chainsaw idling. He crouched, muscles coiling, ready to strike the mesh. "Watch out," Diaz warned. "He triggers on movement." Bill ignored them. He didn't slow down, but he didn't speed up. He kept his rhythm. Thump, step, step. He didn't look the dog in the eye. He looked at the ground, at the sky, at the trees. He projected zero threat, but he projected massive confidence. He projected the energy of a man who has walked through valleys of death and fears no evil. 10 feet from the cage, Titan let out a roar and slammed into the fence, teeth gnashing metal. The fence rattled violently. Bill stopped. He stood perfectly still. He didn't flinch. He didn't step back. He slowly lifted his head and looked at the dog. He didn't glare. He just looked. "Titan," Bill said. He didn't shout. He spoke in a low, calm register, almost a murmur. "Platz." It was the German command for down. But it wasn't the word that mattered. It was the tone. It was a sound that carried the weight of 1,000 patrols, of nights where the only thing keeping you alive was the animal next to you. It was a tone of absolute, non-negotiable partnership. Titan froze. The dog blinked. The growl died in his throat. He cocked his head to the side, his ears perking up. He sniffed the air. He smelled the old man. He smelled the stale coffee, the old wool, the medicine. But beneath that, he smelled something else. He smelled the pheromones of an alpha. Not a bully, but a general. Bill slowly lowered himself to one knee. It was a painful process. His joints popped. He grimaced, but he got down to the dog's level. He placed his hand flat against the wire mesh. "Easy, soldier," Bill whispered. I know they don't understand. They speak English. You speak warrior." Titan slowly, cautiously, stepped forward. The rage was evaporating, replaced by intense curiosity. He stretched his neck out, sniffing Bill's fingers through the fence. "That's impossible," Diaz whispered. He hasn't let anyone within 5 feet of the cage without trying to kill them. Bill closed his eyes. Do you know who this dog is? He asked, not turning around. He's Titan, Miller stammered. Paperwork says he's from the Von Haus line, imported from Germany. Von Haus, Bill nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. I thought so. I recognized the markings. The black saddle that dips low on the shoulder, the white patch on the chest. Bill opened his eyes and looked at Titan. I bought his great-great-grandfather, a dog named Rex, 1995. Best tracking dog I ever saw, but Rex had a quirk. He wouldn't work for anyone who held the leash tight. If you pulled, he fought. If you gave him slack, he'd follow you into hell. Bill looked at Diaz. You've been fighting him, son. You've been trying to dominate him. This bloodline doesn't submit to dominance. It submits to competence. Bill reached into his pocket. The soldiers flinched, expecting a weapon or a treat. Bill pulled out a small, worn-out clicker, a metal strip used for training. Open the cage, Bill said. Sir, I can't do that, Miller said, panic rising again. He will kill you. He won't, Bill said. Look at him. Miller looked. Titan wasn't growling. He was whining, a high-pitched puppy-like sound. He was pressing his body against the wire where Bill's hand was. His tail gave a tentative wag. Miller swallowed hard. He motioned to Diaz. Cover him. Safety off. Open it. Diaz walked up, terrified. He unlocked the latch. He swung the door open and jumped back. Titan didn't bolt. He didn't attack. He trotted out, straight to Bill. The 85-pound weapon of war, the washout, the killer, walked up to the frail 79-year-old man. And then Titan did something that made Diaz tear up. The dog slowly lowered his body. He rolled onto his back. He exposed his belly. He let out a long, heavy sigh and closed his eyes, surrendering completely to the old man. Bill smiled, his weathered hand burying itself in the thick fur of the dog's neck. He scratched the spot right behind the ears. Titan's leg kicked in pure ecstasy. He's not broken, Bill murmured to the dog. You're just lonely, aren't you? You're a Ferrari being driven by people who only know how to drive a tractor. The soldiers stood in stunned silence. The wind rustled the leaves. The only sound was Bill's soft voice and the happy panting of the dog. Bill looked up at Diaz. Come here, Corporal. Diaz approached slowly. Sir, put your weapon away, Bill ordered gently, and take off your hat. Diaz did as he was told. He knelt down next to Bill. Titan tensed slightly, opening one eye. Don't look at him, Bill instructed. Look at me. Put your hand on his shoulder. Flat palm, no grabbing, just contact. Diaz laid his hand on the dog. Titan rumbled, a low growl. Relax, Bill said. He feels your heartbeat. If you're scared, he thinks there's a threat. If you're calm, he knows the perimeter is secure. Breathe, son. Breathe like you're asleep. Diaz took a deep breath. He forced his shoulders to drop. He focused on the old man's calm energy. Slowly, Titan relaxed under Diaz's hand. The dog licked Diaz's wrist. There, Bill whispered. That's the handshake. Now you're introduced. Bill struggled to stand up, using his cane. Titan immediately rolled over and sat at attention, pressing his leg against Bill's, looking up at him with absolute adoration. He knows the energy, Bill said, dusting off his pants. I trained his line for 30 years. They are bred for one thing, loyalty. But you have to earn it. You can't demand it with a rank or a collar. Bill looked at Miller. Don't put him down, Sergeant. He's the best dog you have on this base. He just needs a handler who is willing to listen before he speaks. Miller nodded, his face pale with respect. We won't, sir, I promise. We didn't know. We forget, Bill said, looking at the horizon. We get new gear, new tactics, new technology. We forget that the bond is ancient. It's the first contract we ever signed. Man and wolf. It hasn't changed in 10,000 years. Bill patted Titan on the head one last time. "Be good, soldier," he whispered. He turned to leave. The thump. Step of his cane resuming. Titan whined, taking a step to follow him. "Stay," Bill said softly, without looking back. Titan sat. He didn't move. He watched the old man walk all the way to the gate, his eyes never leaving the figure until Bill disappeared around the corner. Diaz looked at the dog. He looked at the sergeant. "Did that just happen?" Miller looked at the empty gate. I think we just got inspected by a ghost." Miller turned to the squad. "All right, listen up. New protocol. From now on, we handle this dog the way that man just showed us. No yelling, no yanking. We earn the right to hold the leash. Am I clear?" "Hooah!" the soldiers shouted. Diaz looked down at Titan. "Hey, buddy," he whispered. "Let's try again." "My fault." Titan looked up, his tail thumping once against the dirt. He nudged Diaz's hand. They walked back to the training field, not as master and servant, but as partners. A week later, a package arrived at the base addressed to the K9 unit. Inside was a framed photo of a young man in jungle fatigues, kneeling next to a massive German shepherd in Vietnam. The dog looked exactly like Titan. The note read, "His name was King. He saved my life 3 times. Treat his grandson well. Bill." Corporal Diaz hung that photo in the kennel, right above Titan's door, and every time he clipped the leash on, he touched the frame, a reminder that he wasn't just holding a dog, he was holding a legacy. This story isn't just about a dog. It's about communication. It's about the fact that sometimes force is the weakest tool we have. Whether you are leading a team, raising a child, or training an animal, true authority comes from calm, consistent connection, not from being the loudest voice in the room. The old man didn't have strength. He didn't have a weapon. He had wisdom. And in the end, wisdom tamed the beast that strength couldn't handle. If you love dogs, if you respect our veterans, and if you believe that the old school still has a lot to teach us, smash that subscribe button. Share this video with a dog lover in your life. Let's make sure the stories of handlers like Bill and dogs like Titan are never forgotten. Until next time, trust your instincts and keep the leash loose.